you're listening to the Photofocus podcast. This is the October 25th edition, and this is Rich Harrington. Joining me this week is our co-host, Scott Bourne. How you doing, Scott?
I'm still here, Rich. How about you?
Oh, it's a good thing. It's been a busy day. We're getting ramped up. Lots of announcements, trade show week, all sorts of great stuff. Today, actually, when we're recording the show, about a day before it comes out, Apple made some big announcements. What do you think, Scott? We had a whole bunch of new things announced.
iPad mini, the
new iMac,
which is ultra thin, and the small 13-inch MacBook Pro with the Retina display.
Yeah, let's start there. The 13-inch MacBook Pro. This is a form factor that a lot of photographers like because it's small enough to toss into your bag. And I must say, having used a Retina display, I'm using the 15-inch Retina display, I could see a difference. So I'm imagining that's going to carry over into the 13. Although I will also say that the 15-inch Retina display laptop has had some really weird bugs. A lot that I think will get worked out with firmware updates. But this is version 1 tech if you have an aversion to version 1.
I have an aversion to Retina displays myself. But I'm one of the very few, and I understand that this will generate lots of hate mail, but I just don't like them. I don't think they're necessary. I think this is another one of those Apple things where, you know, the whole world was using USB and Steve Jobs decided FireWire 800 was the way to go. I'm not a big fan, but I do know that this computer will generate massive sales either way. And myself, I'm sticking with my MacBook Air, which is a top of the line unit that cost ridiculously high amounts of money, like $4,000, but I'm sticking with that for now. But I do think it's interesting. I think the iPad mini is interesting, Rich, mostly because I just see it as sort of a larger than a phone, but smaller than an iPad portfolio that's easier to carry around.
Well, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect for that, for portfolio, and people do love this. I will say, if you've been holding off on an iPad, that's where I really do like the Retina display. I think reading text and books and that type of content, I find it really helpful. Now, what other things did they change on this? I mean, faster speeds, okay. I never thought they were that slow. They do have, really good Wi-Fi. What else stands out? What do you like about this here? They're saying twice as fast.
Well, that's the big deal right there. I have to say that I guess I'm getting to the point where I'm just too old to get it. I mean, I look at this thing and I'm like, yeah, it's a little faster, but it's not that much smaller.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty happy. I've got several iPads here in the office. We use them for a lot of different things. But my original iPad is the one I actually keep in my briefcase, and it works just fine for me. I'm different from, again, a lot of people. I don't use the iPad as a content creation device. I use it strictly as a content consumption device. That's the only way I use it. I read stuff off of it. I watch videos off of it. The other day I saw a guy taking a picture with an iPad, and I felt the need to run over and drape a drop cloth over him so that he would look like Ansel Adams working with an 8x10 view camera. It just seems so weird. But all these devices are simply media consumption devices for me personally. I'm very happy with the existing iPad. So again, not to sound curmudgeonly, although I often do, I just don't care. But I tell you what I do care about. That new iMac looks cool.
Yeah. Well, but before we get off the iPad mini, here's the one thing I want to know, and this is the only reason why I'd want it. Will it fit inside the pocket of like a suit coat or a jacket? Because like the
it's
iPad,
1/8 of an inch too big to do that.
Really? Of course it would be. Like they would just they would probably make it just they go, well, that's okay. Just take your jackets to the tailor and have them adjusted around the iPad. And of course it's using the Lightning port, which we still don't have any third-party devices for, and a shortage of cables. But hey, it's smaller, and I think all this does is expand it into more places. On the other thing that you and I are both actually excited about, and I think a lot of photographers should check out, they did do an update to iBooks Author, and they added cool new things that are going to allow people to do remote updates to books and better photo integration. So if you want to do some better portfolios where you're dropping in photography and audio and comments and text, you can go a lot further than just playing back a slideshow of still images. But you did nail it. The machine you and I both use on our desks, I've got at home. We both love iMacs, and it looks like it's going to blow over. It's so freaking thin.
The new iMac comes in two configurations, 27 and 21 inch. Now, here's where our audience, the photo audience, Rich, is going to be particularly excited. The screen is 75% less reflective.
Yeah.
And a lot of people complain about the reflective screens. I simply light my editing room to accommodate them, but that is good news. The thing is so wafer thin. It weighs 8 pounds less than an existing iMac and is faster and the same cost. One thing I will say about Apple, everyone knows that, I've been accused of being everything from an Apple fan to an Apple hater, so toss up, figure out where you want to go. But
you're just bipolar, Scott. It's okay.
I just happen to say that it's okay for me to say that I like certain Apple products, and yes. I really love the iMacs. We have a lot of them in our shop. They're reliable. We run them 24/7. I don't recall having an issue with any of them, and we've literally bought dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of them over the years. And I'm excited about this new one because I think bang for the buck. The standard config on this thing is less than $1,500, maybe $1,299 or something with 8 gigs of RAM.
Well, I'm gonna highly recommend that photographers don't rush out and get the 21.5 inch. That you wait for the 27 inch, and you go for the $2,000 upgrade. You're gonna want that 1 gigabyte graphics card. It's great that they're both NVIDIA, but 512 future versions of Photoshop, future versions of Lightroom, they're doing so much with GPU acceleration. Thank goodness we're finally off of piece of junk ATI graphics cards. We have real graphics cards in these, but go for that 1 gig graphics card because this is not a configurable option. Now, you might have the ability within here to do an upgrade on the smaller one. I haven't dug that deep, but once you buy this thing, you can't upgrade it. They're locked down. Everything is in there. So go for the better graphics card. That's going to be critical on this machine.
This is what I wanted to ask you, Rich. On that card, one of your complaints to me when we're working privately on projects together is that you just can't get enough horsepower out of these things to do video. Is that going to be enough of a bump for you to get decent video finally?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it's how do I put this? To me, that 27-inch iMac with those specs, I'm pretty sure this is Apple's way of saying, Mac Pro what? Oh, you want a what?
Well, I made that call months ago.
Oh, I know, yeah. But nobody believes it. It's like, this is a machine that's going to solve the problem for almost everybody else. And I think Apple may or may not listen after this, but you're going to have to make a lot of noise if you want a Pro Tower, because they're just going to say, oh, look, this does all those things. It's got great performance. Now, I'm still surprised. It's good to see USB 3. It's kind of weird that the SD card slot is on the back of the computer. I guess they had no room on the side, so it's in a really weird place to be plugging in a memory card. I would go with a card reader. No microphone input, which is kind of weird, but it's all
You know why I'm glad about that?
Because there's less podcasters?
Here's what's going to happen. We'll have less of those podcasts where we accidentally didn't switch the mic source, and we won't have that choice anymore. I agree that the SD card slot is in a weird place, but I'm glad they have it. Thunderbolt, of course, I'm glad they haven't abandoned that yet since we bought all those friggin' Thunderbolt Pegasus drives.
Yeah.
You've got to do the upgrade in order to get into the flash memory, which I highly recommend because I've got it now and it's instant on all of our computers.
Yeah.
Suffice it to say that the Bourne Media Group's going to have an order for about 25 of these fully configured puppies.
Yet magically, only 24 are going to show up, Scott, because I'm going to be waiting at the front door. And I'll log on.
I will tell you this.
Yeah.
That I've also going to have about 25 for sale of the last top of the line one. case anybody doesn't want to make the jump.
Yeah, and those Fusion drives are very cool. This is actually going to come in handy for lots of folks because that Fusion drive, what it's basically doing is it's going to give you a combination of flash storage and regular storage, and the system intelligently caches things and moves it in between. So if you need a performance cache for applications like Photoshop, where it's doing previews or Bridge, video apps, lots of things really benefit. This is that high performance scratch disk, and it's going to be really cool. So the hardest part about this is the fact that it says shipping in December, which means pre-order, but those shipping in December things tend to mean that like maybe December it gets out the door. They haven't been super prompt these days.
I have to say that I'm okay with that. I think this is a big, exciting announcement for photographers that want high horsepower machines, that want to stay with Mac. Everybody knows that I've been threatening to leave Mac. This is going to keep me in the Mac camp as far as computers, desktop computers go, because this is everything I need. It's affordably priced. Even when you spec it out and look at what an equivalent Windows machine costs with that much power, it's not that much difference. And I'm glad to see that they didn't abandon it. I also happen to think there's incredible value in having a computer that's 8 pounds less heavy that I can move around, put on the desk easier. It just looks cool, which of course we all care about because we want our offices to look cool. But
because we talk so many people over, come to my office and look at my sexy computer. No,
I'm just gonna say that for me the iPad Mini, I'm glad they did it, but I'm not going to buy one. And the 13-inch MacBook Pro, I'm not going to buy one. But I'm buying a bunch.
Now, I am confused. We still have the iPad 2, and we had the iPad, not iPad 3, but now it's gone to the iPad with Retina display, which is what it was before, right? Except now it has just a different connector. So this is not the iPad 4, but it's the 4th generation iPad. Did I get that right? I hate marketing.
They went to Name Lab for this and paid $12 million to some guy to come up with this name. I bet you money. And I'm trying. If anybody knows how to start one of those Name Lab businesses, get a hold of me, because I think I can sell shoes to an Italian and snow to an Eskimo. So I'm going to go sell Apple on being able to name the next iPad, which I'm going to call the iPad that's not the last iPad.
Yeah, it's kind of silly, but the only complaint I would have, and this is because I do use my iPad as a content consumption device, is that it still tops out at 64 gigs. Now, I did find a really cool device that I'm super happy with. G-Tech is making this thing called a G-Connect, which I love. I'm having it on set these days. It's basically a 500 gig hard drive with an Ethernet port, and you could plug it into a hotel or to a network where you're shooting, and it makes a base station the whole crew could share. Or even on its own, you could just open it up, and it runs for hours off of an internal battery, or you could plug it in the wall, but you can load it up with pictures, photos, and content, so I can have a lot more of my portfolio with me, just in my bag. And if I need to start digging into other things and taking it out, or I want to carry movies or my music library with me, I could just stream it right off of that device. It's super cool, and it's got a lot of applications for photogs. I know a lot of folks do use G-Tech drives. This is just the G-Connect, and I thought it's pretty cool. Now, before we get into one new product that you had, Scott, and then we also do have an interview from Photoshop World, tell me about some of our sponsors who are helping bring this week's show to everyone out there.
All righty then. Well, Kelby Media Group, we've got a special code which you can find by going to photofocus.com, and on the homepage, the right side banner, save you $20, which as far as I know is the best deal out there on a year of Kelby training, and you can learn from people like Rich Harrington, so why not? I've been through them all. I think Kelby training is the best. I think it beats every other training source out there. And we're glad to have an association with them. My buddy, Jerry Guionis, if you want to be a wedding or a portrait photographer, you should run, not walk, to the ICE Society, where we're going to save you $115. I can't believe it. It's the biggest deal they've ever given. There's no telling how long it will last. ViewBug, if you want to enter a photo contest, extremely important. If you want to enter a photo contest, to check out ViewBug. They got a million contests, but there's one you're really going to enter. And that's the one from us in ViewBug, more than $10,000 worth of prizes, and there's no entry fee. And unlike a lot of other people, we don't steal your copyrights, take any rights away from you. The only rights you give up is if you win, you give us the right to display the winning photos. We can't be any more generous than that. And lastly, but certainly not least, I print on Epson printers. Most everybody I know prints on Epson printers. And if you use some of the new Epson signature papers with Epson inks on these Epson printers, you're going to get archival print quality that can't be beat. So check out the Epson banner. We've got stuff going on. All of that at photofocus.com, where both Rich and I post about photography 7 days a week, 365 days a year, including New Year's Day and Christmas.
Yeah, we don't take holidays. All right,
No.
so one other new piece of equipment that you've had a chance to play with a little bit, or at least dig into, the Rosco Light Pad Loop. Tell me about this, and what do you think about it?
Well, let me ask you this. When you hear the name Rosco, what do you think?
You don't want the answer. I immediately went to the Dukes of Hazzard, but
Okay, well, in terms of the photography world.
True. I don't think of LED lighting. I think of hot lights.
Or gels.
Yeah.
Rosco gels. If you're a Strobus guy or girl, and you've been over to this David Hobby's great site, he actually got them to create a whole new product for his audience, because he's always talking about their little gel strips.
Yeah.
Well, they started years ago with that, and they've been hugely intelligent in realizing that they need to stay relevant. So they've come out with an LED lighting kit for video that's incredible, which we'll talk about in a few weeks or months. But the LED light I'm testing now is their new ring light. And Rich, I'm a ring light nut. I'm going to just say it. I'm a ring light slut.
Oh yeah, I've seen you just walking around in general public wearing it like a hat, Scott. Just so you can see where you're going.
I'm all about the ring light, baby. And I've tried each and every ring light available for sale on this planet. I even took a trip to Venus because I heard they had one. No, they were sold out, so I came back.
Saturn is the place with the rings. You went to the wrong planet.
I knew I went to the wrong place. Anyway, I've tried them all. This is officially, without a doubt, my favorite. It's about $1,000 in the Pro kit, about $699 in the shorter kit. It comes with everything. It's not one of those deals where you open the instructions, says go to Home Depot and buy a 12-inch locking nut and attach it to this. Everything you need is in there. It'll attach to your camera. It runs on batteries, regular batteries, good old AA batteries available to every single country in the world. Or electricity, AC. It also ships with all the plugs for all the other kinds of current you can get. It mounts to your camera on a rail system, very similar to what we use, Rich, when we use something from like Red Rock Micro or whatever.
Yeah.
And it will fit, I've tested it so far with a Canon 24-70 on a 1DX and a 70-200 2.8 on a 1DX. Fits just fine. It's very, but it works with a magnet. That's the cool part.
Really? Cool.
It actually attaches with this super uber duper high power magnet, and I've literally whirled the thing around to try to get it to come off, and it can't. Now here's the best part. It also has an adjustable dimmer switch.
Oh.
So unlike every other strobe based ring light I've used, this puppy is an LED constant light, and it's at 5,800 degrees Kelvin. It stays that way as you dim it. It's always 5,800 degrees Kelvin. So you want just a kiss of light, you can turn it down. You want a lot of light, you turn it up. It's beautiful, and you would not expect something from Rosco not to ship with gels. All the cool gels ship with it. It couldn't be easier to put the gels on. There's even little gobos you can put inside the LED to make circular catch lights.
Nice.
Yeah, everybody's got to check this out. We're going to have a full review at photofocus.com pretty soon. But
and when you're done, I'm going to borrow it and play with it for video.
yeah, you can come over. You can, for video it is a great interview light. It's a very hot, what they did. The other thing they did, LED lighting is usually quite harsh.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah. I mean, it depends on the system, but this one looks to have a really good diffuser, which is nice.
Well, that's what they did. They actually turned like the LEDs in on themselves. So the light, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's different quality than any other LED light I have ever seen. So I'm a big believer in that. And I definitely, if you want a ring light, this one is actually cheaper than some of the ones that I've seen out there. Now, it's not as cheap as, buying one of those Orbits things that you attach to your flash.
Oh, people! I hear people asking this thing all the time. Can I just buy it at a Yes, I could buy little light panel things at a hardware store. I could buy these. There's a total difference in color temperature and the fact that they're even and how long they're going to last. LED lighting is expensive, but you really don't have to replace bulbs, and you don't go through batteries as quickly. They last longer. I mean, it's really cool stuff.
Yeah, and I've been such a fan of LEDs. Now, I'm using them with video as well. And the big deal is we see these Chinese knockoffs everywhere we go. And as soon as you turn one on and you compare it to one of these, you see this ugly yellow light versus this 5,800 degrees Kelvin daylight balanced light. And then you turn the attenuator, if it even has one, on the Chinese knockoffs, and the light actually changes color. That just won't work for us in the real world. Those of us that are making a living doing this, we've got to have consistent light temperature. So we're very high on this product, and you'll be hearing more about it at Photofocus.
Good. And just remember, folks, lighting is an investment. I've got lights that I bought 15 years ago that I'm still using today when I started my company. Lights will last a very long time. All right, well, speaking of equipment, I'm going to be heading up to PPE this week, so I'm going to be taking a look, seeing if there's any new announcements, taking a look around the show floor, so I'll keep my ears and eyes open for new stuff to share with our audience. This is Rich Harrington for Photofocus, and we'll be back in 10 days with a new episode. Thanks for tuning in.